Welcome everybody to the webinar. This is number 5, and my name is Tom LaFaso, and today we are talking about foot traffic, specifically how to turn short form videos into predictable, hyper-local foot traffic for your business. This is something I'm super passionate about, so I'd like to just kind of jump right into things. Pretty crazy, the type of world that we're living in today. I think everybody gets a little bit blown away by it, right? We're living in an attention economy. So right now we have exactly 8 seconds to capture a consumer's initial attention. Some people could say 2 or 3 seconds. It really depends on the data that you're looking at. But if you don't grab them in about 8 seconds, they're pretty much just gonna swipe away. If you do grab them, well, then you probably have somewhere around a 60-second window to completely convert them into either some sort of business, get their attention for maybe some sort of education, whatever it may be, right? The rules of local discovery have completely changed though. You have no longer minutes to explain your value proposition. You have seconds to stop the scroll, right? So why 60 seconds? This is basically why. We live in a world where you only have a short amount of time to grab someone's attention. Otherwise, they're on to the next thing. And almost everyone today, when it comes to social media, has some form of like ADHD or something like that. They just do not have the attention span to sit there. The younger you are, the shorter your attention span is. And the older you are, typically you have a longer attention span. And that usually comes down to a couple of factors of, the older generation still watches cable TV in most cases, while if you find your average 18-year-old or 21-year-old, they probably haven't really watched much cable TV in their entire life, right? So the difference between targeting these people, and then you have the everyday person, somebody who's maybe in their 30s, 40s, 50s, and they're fully immersed in social media at this point, especially things like COVID. It really brought people over the edge because COVID happened, everyone's stuck inside their house, people are on every form of technology possible, and now we're really getting used to this, and it doesn't take time. If you're somebody that sits on social media for an hour a day, 2-3 hours a day, it's only going to take you probably, 3, 4, 5, 6 months until your brain really starts to burn that attention span. All right, so let's just jump into, and this kind of goes into like the older generation. So traditional ads. So this is exactly why traditional and local ads are failing. Static images, text heavy posts, they pretty much just blend into the noise. And people ignore these text blocks, right? Photos are just pretty much like a completely lack of context when you could have something like a video. A picture of a steakhouse doesn't really show the atmosphere of your restaurant. It's just showing maybe, the outside or something, of the inside, as opposed to having multiple clips that showcase exactly, who you are, what you do, and what makes you different. So most importantly, traditional ads create zero parasocial connection. People buy from people and not faceless logos. And we know that, right? If you're somebody that goes on camera, and for example, if you see this on social media, some of the most successful businesses, and especially in the restaurant world, are where the owner of the company or somebody who's heavily invested in the company gets on camera. They don't care about the logo. They don't care about, what colors they have. They don't care about any of that stuff. They care about the people, and they care about, the service that they get. Ultimately, what we call in sales, the 3 Ps, right? The product, the price, or the person. They're going to care about those 3 things. And typically the price doesn't matter if you have a great product and the people are great. So how do we fix this? Well, we use 3 pillars of local video. So pillar number 1, hyper local hooks. This is a great way. We've been really incorporating this a lot more recently with a variety of clients that we create videos with, is because hyper local works. It also works when it comes to AI and SEO. So instantly qualify your audience. If you, let's say, live in Massapequa Park, say Massapequa Park in the first 3 seconds. So you can stop local scrollers in their tracks. Are you a local business in Massapequa Park? Did you know that Massapequa Park is blah, blah, blah? Did you know, et cetera? There's a variety of different ways to bring in the town that you're doing or the business that you're talking about. Number 2 is the visual proof. So show, don't tell. Show the fresh food. Show the clean salon. Visuals validate your claims. And again, this goes back into show them who you are, what you do, what makes you different. A picture, just a static image, might not really bring that across, but you can have a variety of ways of doing this, right? Even something like a testimonial as you're showing these things, right? If you have a happy customer, talking about, let's say, your hair salon and that they had a great experience, that the place was so clean and welcoming. Well, as they're talking, pull in some clips of how welcoming your place is, and the women at the front desk when they greet someone when they walk in, or, the woman when she answers the phone, how nice they are, or the person that washes hair and, how friendly they are and that they listen, and so on and so forth, right? Those are the things that you want to show, especially in such a competitive market today. And then we have number 3, which is the irresistible call to action, or CTA as we would call it. So the irresistible call to action: never end a video without a command. So you really want to, this goes for like sales 101. And I think they even say this when I took a sales class years ago when I was in college, that there was like 60 or 80% of salespeople will not ask for the sale after, actually performing some sort of selling, right? They don't ask the client, hey, are you interested in what I have to offer here? So in this case, we want to give them some sort of action after the video. Hey, if you've enjoyed what I've had to say, if you have questions, check out my website, give me a call, shoot me an email, comment on this video, share this with a friend, whatever. All of these things are actions that you're going to try and get your audience to do for you. Now, not every video necessarily needs that. It depends on the style of video that you're going for. However, if you're a business person, typically most of your videos should have some sort of call to action, because ultimately you want to make more money, right? And you should have some action lined up that helps either put somebody into your funnel or gets them to call you, whatever it may be. But again, it as a business owner, most times it comes down to making money. All right, so number 5 is the next slide here. This is the STAR method. This is something, it's pretty recent that I'd say we'd be working with, but we've been creating scripts, I would say, hundreds, if not thousands of scripts that we've written for the clients that we work with, for other people, one-off videos, ongoing clients, etc. So to execute something like this, we've found that this is like a proven framework, and it's called the STAR method. So I'll just kind of go through it real quick with you guys. So S is situation. You can define the local problem immediately. For example, like what is going on in the situation, right? And again, you can use those local keywords that we were talking about. Massapequa Park, for example, right? So I had a client here in Massapequa Park, and they're struggling with, right? And here's the situation that's going on. Say you're a plumber or something like that, right? Next is T, which is task. Explain what needs to be solved, right? So let's just use the example of a plumber in Massapequa Park. So I'm a plumber in Massapequa Park. This client came to me. They had this situation where they have a leak in their basement. So what needed to be solved is they needed a pipe that's 8 feet long to be replaced. That's going from this part of their basement to this part of their basement. And what we did was, and now this is the next step, which is the action, right? So A, show exactly how your business solved it. So what we were able to do is we showed up, we took care of the water that was, obviously flooding the basement. We were able to shut the water down. We had to cut the pipe on one end and the other, replace the pipe. Afterwards, cleaned everything up, made sure it was all good to go, spoke to the client. They were extremely happy, blah, 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 right? Second to last, there's 2 R's in the STAR method, but secondary is the results, right? So you want to show the client is happy. They're overall thrilled with it, maybe get some sort of, commentary from them. And then last in this script is the reflection. So how you got, this result for themselves, right? So the STAR method is a great way because it's basically just a storytelling method, but it's a great way to get people excited about the video that you're explaining, the service that you have to offer, et cetera, et cetera. So I recommend using this as a prompt when you're using AI. And if you're somebody that still wants to write your scripts completely on your own, by all means, do it. But if you're using AI, you can say, hey, this is my business. I'm looking for a script or several scripts. Please use the STAR method. It'll lay it out for you just like this. And it's a great way to get people, interested in what you have to offer. This is slide number 6, anatomy of a winning clip. Look, we're a content agency. We're a video marketing agency. It's about 80 to 90% of what we do here. When you build a script this way, it's pretty much the perfect fit for a winning 60-second clip. So again, the hook, right? So you have about 0 to 3 seconds to make this happen. It's make or break. If you don't get somebody in that time period, they are just going to keep scrolling. So we have that time period to really make sure what we're saying in 3 seconds is super, super important. And I was just actually thinking about this here driving to work this morning. I was in English class, I think it's probably 7th grade. And my 7th grade teacher was teaching us, how to basically start a sentence, how to talk and really write in most cases. But She was explaining, I think it was like a squirrel or a rabbit, and you have like a bush, and the rabbit can either go over the bush, through the bush, under the bush, or like around the bush. And like the way she was explaining it is like, you don't want to take too much time to get to your point. You know, you don't really want to go around the bush. You don't want to go over. You don't want to go under. You want to go like right to the point, right? And sometimes we do that when we're talking. So we have to be careful as we're writing these scripts that in the first 3 seconds, it's not just like, hi, my name is, because no one really cares. We have to just go right to the point. You know, don't go around the bush, go right through it. The next is the 3 to 45 seconds. So this is really where the value comes in, and this is where you can use that STAR method. Again, you could really talk about anything here. If you have somebody after that, you know, if you have somebody on the hook in 3 seconds and then you can hold them to the 10-second mark, there's a gotta be an 80 to 90% chance that they're going to watch the entire video, at least 45 to 60 seconds of it. So you have their attention. You can pretty much talk about whatever you want. You have some sort of value that you're providing. If it's going to be education or just entertainment, or maybe you're selling something that they're pretty much interested in, right? But that's where you have that time period. The next is going to be the end. And this is really where you have your offer or some sort of call to action, 45 to 60 seconds. Frictionless instructions on what to do next, right? So you don't really want to be like, click here, go here, do this, do that. A phone number, an email address, click the button in my bio, go to this website, www. And, very clearly spell it out for them. But, you don't want to put too much effort into this. You want to make it very seamless for them. So again, 45 to 60 seconds, have some sort of call to action, or again, some sort of offer. An offer could be like buy one, get one free. If you call now, if you share this video with a friend, whatever it is, right? So maybe you want to do a giveaway. There's a variety of ways to do this. All right, so the next slide is the discovery by format. So if you're wondering if a 60 seconds is really enough, well, let's take a look at the data. So 85% of initial local discovery is now happening on short form videos. Wow, isn't that pretty crazy? So static posts are at 40%, text is down to 15. Short form vertical video is the undisputed top of your digital funnel. And look, we can see that. I mean, this is obviously a very clear and basic graph to look at. You have, your short form at the top, your static images, et cetera, et cetera. But we know this. I mean, who goes on social media and is just like scrolling regularly anymore? Everyone wants to watch the videos, right? You don't just, let me see a bunch of pictures. Now, mind you, if you see, a carousel and it's a few photos that pop up, we will stop and we will see what there is. But most cases, people want to watch reels, TikTok videos, shorts, etc. And that's where most of the internet is going these days. So the next slide we have is talking about the omnipresence. And this is really the beauty of a 60-second video because it can go in multiple different places. It's funny, I even saw this the other day. We were watching, I think it was the World Cup, I want to say, or the Le Mans. Maybe I was watching that. Could have been the New York Knicks, maybe. But they had, and just, this is 2026. They had Love Island, right? The show that everybody's ranting and raving about. They had a commercial for it, and the commercial was on a horizontal platform. So it was, playing on a TV, but it was a vertical video. It only took up the middle of it, which is just so funny because that same video can be used on Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, right? And I'm watching it on whatever channel, ESPN or something along those lines. So this is the beauty of a 60-second video, again, because it can go anywhere. So you shoot it once and you can distribute it across multiple platforms, right? Instagram Reels, which will help build a local community. TikTok is pretty much unmatched for organic reach. It's a great platform for building people up. We probably get the most amount of views for most of our clients on TikTok. And then secondary to TikTok, I would say, is YouTube Shorts, which acts as an SEO powerhouse. And SEO is attached to Google search engine optimization. So Google owns YouTube, kind of speaks for itself there. But YouTube is fantastic. I tell everybody, and I can't tell you how many clients we come across that we work with. And I'm like, oh, so you put these videos on YouTube? And they're like, oh, no. And I'm like, why? Right? So diversify yourself. The ones that we don't have listed here is LinkedIn. It's great if you're a business to business. I highly recommend LinkedIn. And the other one here is Facebook. Facebook is pretty much the same as Instagram in a sense, but you have a lot of people on Facebook. So obviously there's other platforms like X and Threads and, name something else. Yes, does it work? I'm sure on some level it can. It only takes one person, right? It only takes the right thing to happen for you. I spoke to a company yesterday and I said, you could be in the grocery store and find a client, or we could post a video on the internet and also find a client. You never know. You never know. So, all right, but let's talk about this next step, which is slide number 9 here, retargeting machine. So what I think is really interesting about this is how I talk to everybody I work with. So you're coming along with me on this little ride here, and the ride being that you're going to start with your organic content. You're going to start with creating those killer 60-second videos. And then once you get that going and you're doing it successfully, and maybe it's for 6 months, maybe it's for a year, maybe it's for 2 or 3 years until you get to this point. Now it's ready for the retargeting machine, right? So here's where the real money is actually made. So you don't really want to let people bounce. You want somebody who watches 50 or 60% of video to basically be hit with another video later on. So they obviously have demonstrated some sort of high intent, right? They're like, hey, I'm somewhat interested in what you have to offer. So we use something that's called pixels to capture this exact person or audience, and then you can automatically hit them with more videos later on that day. So if you're anybody who's contacted us recently or gone on our social media, you've probably been inundated with videos of myself. And that's because of retargeting. So hyper-specific ad. It's a time-sensitive coupon, though, that you can kind of throw together, right? You could be like, hey, listen, over the next 24 hours, in the next 7 days, we have something for you. Or here, I will offer a free consultation. So it could turn some passive scrollers into trackable foot traffic. Super easy, right? It's a great way to find somebody who just kind of found you on social media, watched something educational, maybe didn't know that, I didn't know that this is the type of material that, a plumber uses in Massapequa Park. Watch the video, and then later on that day, they're seeing some advertisements, and they're like, you know what? I have had that issue with my sink in the basement for a while. Maybe I should get it fixed, right? Again, we don't know, and it can happen a variety of different ways. All right, and then we have our 30-day action plan, which is the next slide here. So how do we deploy this? Well, let's go into it. So you can see here, I'm going to look over at the screen. So week 1, week 2, week 3, week 4, you have different phases, and then you have your key actions, right? So week 1 strategy, basically you want to write 4 scripts, 4-star method scripts. Take your time. Don't overdo it. Don't rush it too much. Don't start with 30, start with 4. I don't think you need to be doing 30 pieces of content right now because you're just probably going to make some super generic and boring stuff. So think about it, really put some effort into it. Then week 2, batch some production. So we pretty much shoot everything in about a 2-hour to 3-hour time block. I suggest to do the same. It's exhausting. Unless you're an actor and you do this all day long, yeah, it's probably a walk in the park. But if you're somebody that has a business and that's what you do Monday through Friday, creating videos is typically not a skill of yours. So take an hour, 2 hours, 3 hours, set some time, take your scripts, get a teleprompter, hire somebody like us, whatever it is, and we'll make it super easy for you. And then number 3 here is going to be, or week 3 is editing, right? So this is where a company like us, we would film on let's say week 2, and then we would edit on week 3. And you could do the same thing, right? Or you could edit the videos right after week 2 if you wanted to. However, take your time. This isn't something that needs to be rushed. You want to do it correctly and you want to make it look good. You don't want to look like just something that was thrown together in 5 seconds, because ultimately that's probably going to hurt you more than help you. And then week 4 is distribution, right? So we can help deploy these onto organic platforms: Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn. If you wanted to do advertising, you could set up some sort of retargeting. And ultimately, that's pretty much it, right? Within a month, you should be able to create the videos, get them posted on social media, and set up some sort of, advertising or retargeting campaign if that's what interests you. So I hope some of this has been helpful to give you just a 30-day simple action plan. And if you have questions about this sort of thing, well, then feel free to contact us. You can speak to me or anybody else here, and we'll be happy to, go over what this looks like for some of the other clients that we worked with and help tailor something specifically for you. So let's jump to that next slide, which is most importantly, the results, right? So does it work? Absolutely. And we know it works. So we've deployed hundreds of these at this point, and actually thousands. I mean, at this last month, we did 262 short videos, right? So we've deployed thousands of these, 60 seconds and well-executed 60-second highlight reels for local businesses or roofing or plumbing or insurance, lawyers, et cetera, right? But let's talk about this one coffee client that we worked with. It was like a little cafe. In the first month, they saw pretty much a 300% increase in foot traffic just in that weekend. After that, 300% from one video. So that was pretty crazy. We know that after helping out clients like this, immediately they see an impact on it. I've done videos for pizzerias and been standing inside the pizzeria and someone walks in and goes, "Hey, I just saw this video on the internet and I had to come try your pizza," right? So we know it works. We know by putting yourself out there, people get excited. They want to check you out. They want to come and, buy your product or service. But it only works if you put yourself out there. If you're just going to sit behind the scenes and expect the business to come in, well, I'm sad to tell you, it's probably not going to happen. So the last thing here is just any questions, and we can go into that. But ultimately, stop guessing if you have, any digital marketing going on. And if you're ready to engineer your authority and start driving real foot traffic through short form videos, then we should absolutely talk. You can book a discovery call right now with us. You could go to tloproduction.com. It's TLO production. There's no S at the end of production. You can click book a call with us or contact, whatever you'd like to do there. We also have a couple of courses on there where you can, learn a little bit more. But ultimately, thank you all for tuning in today. And we really appreciate you listening. Again, contact us if you have any questions. We look forward to seeing you in the next one. See ya.